A very happy morning to entire world. So today we have a world famous and renowned master global trainer and a happiness coach, Mr. Murli Sundaram with us. So welcome, sir, on
Good.
Spiritual Journey page.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chetan, for inviting me for the Spiritual Genie interview. Thank you very much. Let's have an amazing session today.
Yes, sir. So I just request all my viewers, whoever want to ask anything with sir can put their comments below. So we'll be having all your questions here. And we'll start sharp at 9. So till that, you can all share your link so maximum people can get benefit. So I see, sir, many people have started watching us.
Very good.
Wow. Okay, sir. So, my first question basically, I was very, passionate to ask this, but never got opportunity. And what is happiness coaching is all about?
Happiness coaching is all about my life and how exactly I live my life. And whoever is interested to really want their happiness to be doubled and how they want to live a very simple and lighter and peaceful life, they get coached by me through my daily happiness email lessons, or if someone really wants to go deeper, they become part of my online happiness university, or still if they want to go very deeper, then they come and attend my workshops. It all depends upon how much you want to multiply your happiness in your life. That's all about this happiness coaching and why I do what I do. Because my goal is to bring in happiness to 1 billion people. I have no idea how I will, but I'm close to now 2.5 lakhs audience I have reached so far in bringing happiness directly, maybe indirectly to 1 million people. So, but the goal is 1 billion people. So, a long way.
So, sir, in this pandemic, we see that actually people need a lot of happiness and rays of strength to fight this situation. So, how you feel that this coaching and this ideology of making everyone happy and do the billions of people is actually helping right now?
See, only during a time of crisis, you need to become aware that you are actually in time of crisis. Okay? Most of the challenges in people life is everyone knows that they have to be happy. Everyone knows that whatever they are doing in their life is for their own personal happiness or family happiness or spiritual happiness. But the challenge is not that. The challenge is doing or practicing being happy when a calamity or a crisis hits you. So that's the reason why during a challenging time, you need to become aware of it. So if you really want to handle any challenging time, chaotic times in your life or crisis, you need to practice a lot of happiness habits or practices which will remind you during this time. And this is the time where right now all of us are going through a huge calamity right now, and all the more reason people should practice happiness every single day. And that's the reason why this is the best time being happy now more than ever. I always suggest, okay, if you can be happy now during this calamity, you can actually be happy anytime, anywhere in your life.
Amazing, sir. So, basically, whenever I've seen you in last 3 years on Facebook, on WhatsApp, or anywhere, your photo or any video, your smile has always some messages, your deep messages. So, what's the secret of your happiness and this beautiful smile?
I have a bee philosophy. These honey bees are there. Bee philosophy, bees philosophy. I have. Just take the word bees itself as one of the acronym to understand why I am happy and how I have this, because this question keeps popping up everywhere. The word bees, the word alphabet B stands for breathing slowly and deeply. One of the reason why I'm able to always be happy and become more aware is my practice of breathing for many years, of breathing slowly and deeply. The number of breaths per minute has a huge impact on your mind, your health, and your psyche. So number one is that, and number two is I eat less. I don't eat more. So I practice eating only twice a day, and that to 70 to 80% of your tummy only I fill. So I realize that the problem with many of us, why we become unhappy and unhealthy, is because we are eating too much. 2 meals a day is actually enough for a very good health and a sharp mind and a lot of energy. That's number two, the BE. And the third E in the Beast philosophy stands for I expect very less or sometimes even nil with whatever I do with people or things or anything around me. So I hardly have any expectations with anyone, including myself or anyone around me, with anyone whom I am doing business with, or my clients or my friends. I have no expectations with anything. I just do my action and I just get out. So living an expectation less life is giving me more happiness and less suffering. And the S in the B stands for serving. I believe that I've been born with a purpose to serve. So I'm serving everyone because I realize my purpose in life is to be a teacher in this janma, in this lifetime. So I realized it. So once I realized my purpose, then I realized that the only thing I can do is serving my gift with the whole world. So since I live with an attitude to serve, whoever asks for, I immediately accept and I serve it without any expectation. So these are some of the reasons why, I am always having this beautiful smile, sleep very happily, no problem.
So very beautifully said. So I got two messages, one for myself, that is to eat less, and for others to have less expectations.
Theoretically, it is correct, but practically, it is little difficult. Okay.
Right,
Maybe
sir.
eating less, you can manage it. Expecting less requires a little bit of practice in our life.
Yeah, sir. So, sir, basically, I was going through your profile and I saw that you watch every day one movie complete and read 200 pages a book. And these practices you have been coming through more than 13 years, I believe.
Reading books is for 20 years.
20,
Watching movies for the last
20
1 year.
years, 200 pages per day. And you have, till now in your life, you have read more than 50,000 books.
I keep on reading. Okay. I keep on reading.
Sir, how you manage to get 28 hours in a day?
Oh, it's not 28 hours, the same 24 hours only. Number one is I practice speed reading. So, when you read, you don't have to understand. That's the biggest problem with many people. They try to understand whatever they are reading. And I always believe that understanding something, if you are not going to take action on anything, don't try to understand, because grabbing knowledge is absolutely useless in your life. And you have understood something, but you're not taking action, that knowledge becomes a burden within us. So ask yourself before reading, are you going to take action or not? If you're not going to take action, don't read that. Okay. Whether it is scriptures or philosophical texts or anything. But if you have decided only to read, just read, don't try to understand. So I practice speed reading for many, many years. Even today evening, I'm doing a speed reading workshop also, because many of my members were asking me, how do you read faster? Okay. So it's very, very critical that what I have learned is speed reading, photographic speed reading and varieties of speed reading. So that's the reason why I read a lot. And I don't have 28 hours and all, the same 24 hours only. So it's not that I read at a whole stretch. Okay. I don't get that time. But in between, it's all spaced out throughout. Even if I get a 5-minute break, always there is one tab opened with a Kindle book on my laptop or on my phone or a book on my table. So I don't read one book at a time. I read 5 books at a time. I read 5 pages, 10 pages, 15 pages here continuously. I mix and match varieties of books. That's one technique I've learned many, many years ago, to read multiple genres at the same time to increase the brain's neuroplasticity. So that's the reason I read a lot of books, and that's how I read also. I don't read it for understanding. I read it only for reading.
Great. So can you just elaborate what is speed reading? Because it's a very new concept I see.
Oh, speed reading is a methodology in which you can actually read faster. Because see, the thing is that the words that is happening in our head, the speed in which the words are floating in your head is very high. But your vocal speed is maximum 140 or 250 words per minute or something like that. So depending upon the type of speaker you are in, your vocalization. The world's best speed readers, in a minute, they can read 4,500 words per minute. But on an average, a very slow reader is somewhere between 150 words per minute. A third grader, okay, reads 150 words per minute. But somehow as we became adult, we actually grow very high. When we come to college, approximately we'll be reading 600 to 800 words per minute. But as we get into our day-to-day life, the whole reading speed actually goes down, because many of us drop the habit of reading after the formal education. But real education in life starts only after the formal education. So speed reading is a method in which how you can increase the number of words per minute, how you can quickly grasp the whole page, okay, how you can read 1 second, 1 line. Simple process. Okay. 1 second, 1 sentence. 1 second, 1 sentence. That's one easiest way to remember, to understand about speed reading. Okay? So there are multiple benefits, multiple techniques are there. I just 1 second, 1 line is one simple method to practice speed reading.
So I definitely request all to join today's evening workshop. It's a big learning, and especially with a happiness coach with lots of happiness will be coming in the learning. So sir, basically one viewer, Rahul Goenka, has a question. Can you suggest some books for us?
No, again, what kind of field? Again, it all depends upon the type of field or the type of genre you are interested with. Because there are multiple books are there. Okay, if you are a business owner, there are different kinds of book I will always suggest. But I think in general, since it's a question is little gendered, let me say that read a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. Focus on one thing in your life. Okay, that's the whole premise of that book. The One Thing by Gary Keller. That's a very good book. I will always suggest for everyone to start with. Another book is my mentor's book, Dr. Brian Tracy, Eat That Frog. Thereby, you will learn how to manage your time in life, because ultimately it's all the same 24 hours in life. If you are asking me on a spiritual direction, I will always suggest you, if you are a newcomer to the spiritual books, start with Autobiography of Yogi by Paramahamsa Yogananda. It's one of the best spiritual classic you can ever read, and that will transform the whole life itself. So there are multiple genres are there. If you are a business owner, if you're a small business owner, one book I keep recommending to everyone is a book called Company of One by Paul Jarvis, which tells you don't build a big company, don't waste your time in aspiring that Microsoft or Amazon. Okay, build a small company, but a profitable company which will suit your desired lifestyle. So it means you fix your lifestyle and then build a profitable small company. Thereby you enjoy the money that you're making also, so that lesser the conflicts will be there in your head. So I just shared a couple of books because I don't understand from which genre he's asking.
Yeah, so I got a few recommendations here. People are saying for self-help.
Oh, for self-help, Eat That Frog is a very good book. You can actually start reading by Brian Tracy. It's all about time management. It's a very good book to start reading. One Thing is also a self-help book which you can start reading. I can keep on recommending because I keep reading, but ultimately you will not do it. No? So the challenge is you have to go and read the book and take action. Ultimately, then only the success comes in our life.
Sir, I agree. I started reading when Autobiography of a Yogi of Paramahansa Yogananda. My spiritual thirst became more and more. So I started reading more on occult. So I definitely believe in this Yogi autobiography. And so the next question is coming from the basically of training that you have already trained more than 2 lakh of people all over country. And I believe you have been trainer in 15 countries.
Yeah, more than 90.
So, sir, how you have made it possible with so much knowledge, so much training, so much hectic schedule to manage again coaching people to abroad and all over the world?
See, it's a very simple way looking at life, Chetan. When you have decided this is life work, okay, it is not a job that you are performing. It's a life work you are doing because that's the purpose of your life. Your purpose of life is to teach, is to share, is to help people. Okay, so that one passion that pushes me to do everything. Okay, there are many things in my life I have zero idea why even I am doing it also. But it is in the flow of my life. I just continue to flow along with this life. Since I'm in the flow of life, the life is actually taking me faster to all these destinations because I'm trying to, I believe that, whatever nature wants to do, it is making me to do through me. So I was able to do more coaching and training across because of the willingness to serve and help people with zero expectation. So that's the reason why I was able to travel across. But again, it's a very long journey. Okay, remember, it's not a shortcut journey to success or anything like that. It is 2 decades of work. It's a very interesting saying. No, people become successful after 20 years of hard work. So it's like that. So it's a snowball effect of doing it slowly and steadily and consistently. The same thing again and again and again and again and again and again and again. One day it will always start helping. But ultimately, it's only the world sees you as successful. You will never see that part of it because you are just doing your action. That's it.
So, sir, traveling to all over the world, coaching, training, and in 20 decades, which country you have find much open to learning and to adapt your teachings?
Again, see, again, different countries have different contexts. The way in which they are living is different. Okay, so for example, the Western world is very eager to understand the spiritual psychology. Okay, the spiritual process. Okay, the meaning of life. Okay, they are open for that because they are seeing too much of material abundance over there, but still they have not seen happiness. So in that world, spiritual topics, meaning of life, everything works very well because they are really keen to know, understand that, and that's how they respect a lot of the concepts and the context from the Indian continent. When you come to the eastern side, countries where they're struggling to make a living itself, there they want to know how to make more money. If you ask me, okay? So because right now they just want, that's the basic needs, a Maslow theory of hierarchical needs. The bottom pyramid they are stuck with. Okay, so many of them are open for handling how do I enhance my lifestyle. Okay, how can I live a high quality living? They are open for suggestions. They are open to learn how can I make a better life, how can I have a better relationship, how can I have a better health. So all these topics. But in the other part of the world, it's health or spirituality is on the peak rising. So I think it will be contextual depending upon the country, their need of the whole people or the consciousness around that particular country. It will vary. So as a trainer or coach, that's what you have to do. You have to understand what exactly they want because the happiness is very highly subjective. It varies from country to country, culture to culture, city to city. It varies. So there is no one thing. It varies across.
So one question coming from your movie that you watch every day one movie. So
Yes,
how you
yes.
have managed to find out so many movies and understand them?
For me, movie watching started as an entertainment, but today movie watching is a mindfulness experiment. Okay? Because since I run 3 different businesses filled with WhatsApp messages and chatting and phone call and then coaching and then leading. Okay, so it's multiple jobs I have to do on a single day. So I need a little bit of transitioning from one company to another company, transitioning process from one task to another task. So if you transition, so that's the reason multitasking is actually a myth. It's actually a killer of your brain cells itself. So instead of doing multitasking, what I have developed is when I move from one task to another task, I keep on pushing like movie watching to bring my mindfulness over there. So movie has become a mindfulness experiment or practice for me. A 5 minute only. I don't watch a huge number. So 5 minute, 10 minute. If I have more time, I will watch. Otherwise, it's the bits and pieces of movie. I pause, watch. Thereby, I can complete the whole movie itself. And there are enough apps that are available now, right? There are enough movie streamings are there, and I watch in every language. Language doesn't matter because subtitles are there, but the whole objective is for you to become more mindful. And watching a subtitle movie makes you to become more mindful. That's the best part of it, even if you don't understand the language. Because why? You can't think anything else. You have to read that line, right? So that's the reason I end up in watching one movie again, and bits and pieces of movie I watch.
It is really great to share that you watch movie for mindfulness after a hectic job, because I believe many people start saying that okay, we cannot read books, but we can definitely watch a movie and be like Murli Sundaram. So really, so sir, any movies you can suggest which is actually good for personality development or some lessons which have taught life lessons?
One movie I will always recommend everyone to watch is Shashank Redemption. One of my favorite movie. Okay? It's a little old classic movie, but the damn good movie. If you have to understand that, whatever happens around you, everything is for good. And whatever happens around you, everything, every material, every person, everything around you can be converted into a resource for your success. Okay. Resourcefulness is what that movie is all about. Okay. Whatever calamity happens, how you can be calm, okay, during a storm. So it's a very, very interesting movie to watch, Shashank Redemption. That's my favorite movie. Another movie, again, is called Usual Suspects. It's a very interesting movie. Only the last 5 minutes, you will understand the whole movie. Till the time, you will never understand the whole movie. Okay, very, very interesting movie called Usual Suspects. Okay? So there are different types of movies are there. Pursuit of Happiness is a very, very good movie to watch. The Peaceful Warrior is a fantastic movie if you really want to understand the true meaning of life itself. So I keep on watching varieties of movies.
So, sir, basically, in your profile, it is a lot of training sectors. So, not only happiness coach, you're also a global master trainer in BNI, an international trainer. So, sir, how you discovered to become a trainer, or what was the trigger point which said you that yes, this is the thing you need to do? Because many people, as you know, in life, we struggle with the motto and purpose of life. So, how, sir, you got your purpose and motto?
You know, I started teaching from the age of 8. Okay, so from the age of 8, you know, all the neighbors' kids come and ask me, Anna, can you just teach me this? I don't understand. Okay, so they started coming, and I really understood. Okay, even their elder kids, also old kids. I was 8 and they are 10. I was able to read their books. I was able to understand that and teach them in a very simple way, which their teacher were not able to do that. So the journey of teaching started from the age of 8, and I ran my tuition center. Okay, I started teaching as a tuition from the age of 10 until I completed my 12th grade. I was doing a small tuition hub with all my kids around, and I was teaching them, even elder kids, even in school or college. All the teachers used to ask me, "Can you come and teach this lesson?" Okay, so that's how the whole thing came. But then after that, I went into the career and job and everything. But then slowly I lost in touch with my true purpose or true passion, which gave me happiness. One day I was attending Dr. Brian Tracy's seminar, okay, and he threw a very googly point of my life that whatever you want to do what you love to do, because otherwise you will end up in huge disaster later. Something like that he was telling. So that made me to go a little deeper to find out what I want to do in my life after 10 years from now, 20 years from now, or at the time when I want to die, how I want to die. Okay, that's a realization I really brought in. And then I found out what is that one thing which I'd love to do in my life is teach, is to share whatever I know, whatever I have experienced. I wanted to share because that gives me the ultimate fulfillment of the day itself. So then I decided to quit the corporate job, and I said, okay, I will become a teacher. Okay, without knowing anything, I jumped into the training and coaching industry without knowing anything, because at that time there were not many professional academies which teaches you how to become a trainer or coach. Now it is a proper industry. So that's the reason, that's how I ended up in this. But now I also teach and coach other trainers and coaches now, because I don't want them to go through the whole up and down journey like me. So today I am coaching more than 700 coaches and trainers also to fast track their career so that they can achieve success faster.
Yeah, amazing, sir. Sir, something about your book which you have authored, so we all can learn.
Oh, I have written more than 6 books and co-authored many books in my life. One book I always love, 2 books I really, or 3 books I can say. One is called Happiness Habits. That one book talks about 10 different habits that each and every one of us have to develop in our life. Do these practices every day, because you don't know, one phone call can make you unhappy. One email can make you unhappy. So those small rituals and habits, when you practice on a daily basis, small micro habits, it's not a macro habits. So the whole book is filled with some hundreds and hundreds of habits and techniques which we can practice. That's one book. Another book which I love writing is Mindfulness Miracle. How practicing mindfulness, that 5-second mindfulness, 10-second mindfulness can actually de-stress you quickly so that your mind becomes very sharp. Third book is a little bit of a spiritual context on chakras and chakra manager, how you can activate your chakra and how your chakras are directly connected to your health and business. All the 3 books are of my favorite books I wrote. So please read these books and get benefited. That's all. But don't read the book, take action.
Definitely, sir. So basically, we see you are also very sporting in nature, and you have been Himalayan trekker.
Yes.
So what excited you to do this? Because few people choose this, as a passion and have guts actually to complete this.
Every year, I go to the same location for trekking. I don't change my location. That because, I've been a trekker for a long time. Whenever I see a hill, I start trekking. Okay? Because somehow I get a connection with the mountain over there. I have no idea why and how. But one day, one of my colleagues was telling me there is a beautiful place in Himalayas, okay, where angels and fairies live. Wow. That one word caught my attention. What? I have never seen an angel in my life. Are you sure angels live? He says, yeah, that's a very divine place where angels and fairies live. If we are lucky, we can meet them. I said, okay, no problem. Let's go and test our luck. Okay. So again, he explained me it's a beautiful place called Valley of Flowers, where it is, it's 87 square kilometer at the top of the Himalayas at 12,500 feet high, where all the beautiful hypnotic flowers are there, which you can't see anywhere. Okay. And the deep inside the valley, if you go, you can probably meet the angel or fairy and all. So that's how he enticed me. And I said, okay, let's go. So, so I took that expedition and I went to the Valley of Flowers. It's a mesmerizing place. Okay. I think all of us should at least visit this place once in our lifetime. Okay? It's a beautiful place filled with flowers. Okay. But I realized after going there that they don't allow you to go beyond a particular point. Because they said that beyond this point, we don't have a trekking path and it is dangerous. Why? Because people have gone there. They've never come back.
Okay.
Probably it's illusionary. Okay. Probably it opens up a different dimension or a portal. I have no idea. Okay. No idea on that. Okay. But then I came down and they said that next day we can go to another place, which is close to Valley of Flowers. They said, okay, we'll go to the place, and that's a place called Hemkund. Hemkund, there is a lake, like Manasarovar Lake. There is another lake over there called Hemkund Lake, which is the most, spiritual place for Sikhs, people who practice Sikhism. Okay. So that's the most pristine, pure, beautiful, unadulterated lake over there. When I reached over there, I realized the whole purpose of my journey of trekking the trek is to come there only, not to Valley of Flowers. Because the lake was so intimidating, was so calling me to take a dip in that lake. I went and took 7 dips over there.
Wow.
It was an ice cold frozen water. Okay. Ice cold. Literally it's 1 degree. Less than, close to 1 degree. Because the whole lake is formed by the melting glaciers around. There are 7 hills are there. From the 7 mountains, everything melts and then forms the lake. And I finished bathing over there, and immediately after that, I closed my eyes and sat in meditation. And then suddenly, I'm taken into a different dimension where I'm seeing the whole lake in the symbol of Om. And then suddenly one sadhu comes out of the lake and starts talking to me and blesses me, and he vanishes. I thought, okay, it's imagination, visualization happening in your meditation. I opened my eyes and then I went to the temple nearby. Near to the lake, there is a temple. Okay, that's a Gurudwara over there. I went to the lake first before going to the Gurudwara. I go into the Gurudwara. I was completely stunned and astonished to see one big photograph of the person whom I just met in my meditation.
Amazing.
Sri Guru Gobind. Sri Guru Gobind's full photograph is there. The only person in Sikhism I know is Guru Nanak only, because I studied in a Guru Nanak school. And that's the only person I know. And there you see, I asked the Talwar over there, who is this? He says, no, this is Sri Guru Gobind, who consecrated this lake and the temple. I said, wow. Okay. So that was one of an amazing moment in my life. And every year I get attracted, I get pulled to this place every single year. 7 years I've been continuously going to the same spot again and again. What I realized is taking 7 dips in this lake opens up all the chakras in our body, because the lake is formed by 7 glaciers, opens up the 7 chakras. Interestingly, people who have all traveled along with me, they have found some amazing change in their life, including me. The way in which my life is flowing in a speed track, I think I should credit to that grace of the master over there, the energies over there, which brings profound change in the psyche. So that's the reason I go there every single year to Himalayas, to the same spot, no other change, in the same place again and again.
I'm really excited to visit, sir, now. Definitely might be after this lockdown all opens, I'll visit that lake, or with all possibilities if possible, and also
Please.
get blessed. So, sir, as you mentioned about meditation, so, sir, how you think that meditations are actually important for your personal growth? Apart from spiritual growth, your personal growth and development, how meditations are important?
See, I don't have to now talk about the neuroscience of meditation, because already enough research has gone inside. Like a bus stop where the bus is stopping, that's the bus station. Where the train stops, that's a train station. Where the thought stops, that is meditation, according to me. Okay, so it is going to be a huge journey, and there is a non-stop nonsense, a stream of thoughts coming inside you. And our life depends upon what is the thought that you choose that is streaming inside you. The only thing that we have control in our life is your ability to choose which thought to focus upon. That's the only thing is directly under our control. And every great spiritual master or a business leader, they will always tell you your life is nothing but the choice that you make at that particular moment and the choice of which thought to choose. But how do you do that? Because right now, many of us are not even aware that we are, this is like one thought streaming, YouTube buffering happening inside. Continuously, the thoughts are streaming down inside your head. And only during meditation, you are able to see the whole thought stream slowing down. Probably if you are a very good meditator, you may see everything stopping for a moment, okay? Will it stop permanently? No, it will stop, pause, fast, stop, pause, fast. So it's going to be a continuous affair. The more and more you meditate, you will become a witness of your own thoughts. Okay? You become a witnesser of your own thoughts over there. Like how you stand in the bus stand and watch the traffic. And right now what is happening is you suddenly jump into the bus, suddenly go to the car, suddenly get into the bike and then jump into the lorry. You travel wherever the thoughts are going. But instead, when you practice meditation, you become aware of what are the thoughts that is streaming in. Should I pick up this thought or not? Should I take action of this thought or not? So you get that awareness. And that's the reason why meditation is really, really important. We can't stop the thoughts because you are not producing the thought. You are not the manufacturer of thoughts. It is just streaming inside. So the only way you can handle that is by practicing meditation to become aware of what is happening in your life. So that's the reason meditation is really, really important. If you don't understand meditation, it is 100% okay. I always suggest my students, just close your eyes and sit, chumma, do nothing. Maybe if possible, focus on your breath. Just allow the air going in and coming out. If you can just do that for one breath, continue for the second breath. If you can able to do for the second breath, do for the third breath, okay? And keep on increasing until you are able to stay still, hold your attention to one place, because you cannot do meditation. It has to happen in our life. There is nothing called doing meditation. When you practice these things, meditation happens in your life. Suddenly you become one pointed to whatever happening in your life. Suddenly you become one with everything. Okay? So it is a continuous effort for many, many, many years.
Very beautifully explained. More two questions, sir. One from Guwahati, someone, Vijit Prakash, is asking, any ebook in this time you want to recommend, which they can read now? Ebook.
Oh, ebook, no, I'll give you one of my favorite teacher's book. This is my favorite teacher's book, Sri Yam. Okay? It's an amazing, amazing book. You can actually buy it in Kindle. Okay? So it's like, if you've read Autobiography of Yogi, it's another book like that, where you will really understand the magic of Himalayas and how masters opens up their life. Okay? So it's available in ebook. Go ahead, download and start reading.
So, sir, one of my questions basically, as you said, you went to Himalaya for trekking to find angels. So, sir, did you got any angels or met any fairies or something? Because many people are actually wanting to go to just meet them, not for the lake bath.
Now, see, I went that if I can meet an angel, it's very good. But I got the siddhi from a great master in my meditation after the bath. So, I think I will always suggest you to don't go to Himalayas with no expectation. Okay, now I go with zero expectation because I know now I do Himalayan trekking every year just to bring down me to ground state. Okay, because Himalayas is the best ego crusher. It will crush your ego. Whoever you are, at whatever level you have grown in your life, you may be a billionaire. Go there, you will understand the limitation of your body. You will understand how your thoughts are streaming and screaming at you itself. Okay, so it's a very good ego crusher. So if you really want to be humble, compassionate, go to Himalayas. Okay, not to meet an angel or a fairy. If that happens, it's purely because they wanted to meet you. It's not you wanted to meet them. Okay? That darshan happens only when they want to meet you. It's not you want to meet them.
So next year, if possible, a company, I would like to accompany you. Please do let me know.
Please come, because I don't know about this year, though I have planned, it is there in my calendar, but I don't know whether this year is possible or the COVID.
Angels and fairies, I believe you have already 2 angels in your life and you're blessed with them. Yeah, so last thing, we have already crossed the hours, but still last thing, any message or any recommendations you want to give to the upcoming startups, as we see there are a lot of startups failing and getting success together. So, sir, any messages, because you have been a great business coach? So, your observations or any last message to our viewers?
Thank you. So that's yeah. See, this is a very interesting time where the only way you are going to succeed as a company is by focusing on a micro niche, not a general target audience. Okay? Find out who is your target audience to whom you want to serve. Okay, we are not here to serve everyone. Business doesn't work that way. You have to serve someone. So before you jump into the business, or even if you are in business, carve out your own target audience and find out what is their one pain point that you can solve instead of solving everything. Okay? So it's like 1 square inch target audience, but you go 1 mile deep inside them to that target audience and become a mini celebrity only into that target audience instead of serving everyone. Okay? That is one thing. Number two, that means based on that particular target audience, you design your business model. Then only it's possible for you to grow in these times also and in the future also. Number two, you need to learn how to automate your whole business using technology, because if you do not know technology, you will get vanished from the whole business in another few years from now. So you need to automate your whole business using technological tools. Without technological tools, you will find it more and more difficult as the day progresses, because another evil monster we have created like money is technology. So we may have to live with that if you want to live the rules of business. And then practice remote working. I will always suggest you to learn how to work remotely. That means you need to also learn how to work from home also. Previously, there was work-life balance. There is no more that concept after this COVID. The work and life, everything is going to become together. So instead of making that as a job or a business, make everything as a life work. So we also need to learn how to do business from home. We also need to learn how to teach our employees also to work from home, because you will find more and more freelancers coming up, more and more virtual assistants will be coming up, more and more people would not be interested to go to a job. You will find that in the next 1 decade. So you need to align your business accordingly so that you live. But again, I will keep repeating, find out what kind of a lifestyle you really want to build for yourself. What's your desired lifestyle? Based on the desired lifestyle, build a small company, but a profitable company. Don't read the book called, read these books and motivation speakers that you should think big and all these things. Okay, you can think big, but act very small. Okay? Don't think of a distant future, because distant future will limit your progress. Focus only on the immediate next step right now.
It's a great learning. The biggest takeaway is think big, act small. I will make it a slogan and put. So thank you, sir, for really a very insightful and enlightening session we had today at morning. And it was really pleasure to have you, sir, on board and to learn from you. And looking forward for more learning, especially on the path of Himalayas, most probably the next year.
Thank you, Chetan. Thank you very much. You're doing an amazing job having a page called Spiritual Genie to spread the spiritual awareness in the country and across the whole globe. The nation or the whole world needs such kind of awareness, because I think this COVID situation has actually enhanced the awareness of life, the meaning of life itself. So what you're doing is really, really noble and useful. So please spread the spiritual knowledge of this continent so that more people will become enlightened, micro enlightened or macro enlightened, so that they become more happier and peaceful and prosperous. Thank you very much for hosting me in this interview.
Thank you.
Chetan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.